All right, everybody, welcome into episode 85. Episode 85. What? Dang, that's a lot of episodes. Anyway, we are here on July 12th, 2023. I am Nick Hill, live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, of the United States. And joining me from Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil, is Gustavo Tomazeli. Yes. How are you doing today?
Doing well, doing well. This will be my last episode of the pod with 29 years old, as this Sunday I'll be joining the 30s club.
Absolutely. Let's go. It's got a new decade. A new
Yeah.
decade. It's going to be definitely awesome here, as I just crossed over to 25 myself not too long ago. Um, so we are definitely reaching new milestones in every conceivable way. But that's what we do here on the only sports podcast to cover both American and Brazilian sports. And, obviously, one sport that unites both countries is soccer. And we actually have a live game going on right now over in San Diego, California at Snapdragon Stadium. It's United States and Panama in a semifinal game. They just crossed over into the 51st minute. It is nil right now. I've only caught some of this game. Of what I've seen so far, Panama has actually seemed to dominate possession so far in this game, although it looks like the U.S. might have a chance here up on the right side. They're going to get the ball into the box. And no, okay, Panama kicks it back out. So certainly we'll let you know if anyone scores in this game. But for the U.S. to get to this match, they had one heck of a game, one heck of a fight they had to put up with from Canada in the quarterfinals in Cincinnati. And thanks to the heroics of Matt Turner, they were able to pull it out in penalty kicks by a score of 3-2. Gus, just like when you look at the result of that game between the U.S. and Canada, because I was watching the post game with Alexi Lawless, and Alexi Lawless was like, "We should have not let this get to this point. We should have won this game more comfortably." But I credit the U.S. for winning the game. Where do you fall on that? Do you think the U.S. should be happy they just won, or are you concerned that they're not playing up to their full potential?
It's so hard to define where is the ceiling for U.S. men's soccer team. Like where they can reach, because now Canada is not the one of the weaker teams in the CONCACAF. They make the World Cup in 2022. They, in MLS, they had the Toronto FC not long ago, winning titles. So, Canada developed themselves into a better soccer team. But I think US first need to define where do they want to go in 2026, because they don't need to play the the qualifying, so those tournaments, Gold Cup, next year's Copa America, you know, those are going to see where this team can go and how much they're prepared for the World Cup in 2026.
Yeah, and I just wonder, as someone, obviously I wasn't alive the last time the U.S. hosted the World Cup. Does hosting take away some of the edge, or does it give you more? Because like when you're not hosting, you have to go for the qualification process, as you mentioned. So they already know they're going to be there in 2026, but at the same time, do you just now put all your eggs in that one basket for 2026? And oh my God, what a save by Matt Turner! That Panama had a header, and Turner uh, had to basically punch the ball out of the air. So, man, but Panama so far seems to be out tactically maneuvering the U.S. And to me, that's concerning because if you're struggling with
Well,
Canada and you're struggling with Panama, then how are you going to compete with the Brazils of the world? How are you going to compete with Germany and all the other powers?
yeah, but the goal to the US is not to compete with those, it's to make further into, the World Cup. It's to at least, I'll say, make at least the quarterfinals, and, reach the best as they did in 2002. So I think, that should be the goal. And one thing that you mentioned a lot is the performance of Matt Turner. So it looks like the one thing that US was struggling to find a replacement. After Tim Howard left, was a goalkeeper, and it looks like Matt Turner is the guy. So at least one thing the U.S. find, a transition, a player, a replacement after, because U.S. has been struggling to find replacements for Tim Howard, London Donovan, Clem Dempsey, those key players that ended up retiring, and at least in one key position, the goalkeeper, the U.S. find themselves a reliable goalkeeper.
Yeah, and Brad Guzan was just not it. He was not it as goalkeeper. I mean, as you can tell, he never started in a World Cup game. I mean, literally was the goalkeeper of the 2018 team that fell to Trinidad and Tobago and failed to even make the whole thing. So, I mean, but Matt Turner is the next step, and I think from there, thinking back to Qatar last year, I feel like a big topic of conversation was you've got a really, really good midfielder and Christian Pulisic, but who's the 9? Who is the striker here? And I still think they're really trying to figure out who that guy's going to be in 26. And I don't know if they're going to have that bona fide guy at 26. So it's just going to be fascinating to see what the U.S. does personnel-wise next couple of seasons.
Oh yeah, that's true, and I guess now they have a coach. Kind of the U.S. were kind of like Brazil. They couldn't, they had a interim head coach and another interim head coach. It was a mess like Brazil.
Yeah, and that makes me even more uncomfortable because as we talked about with Brazil last year, and because we're going back to Greg Berhalter, and and Berhalter, I have nothing against him, but as we saw, he's not a coach who's going to elevate you more past a round of 16, and maybe that's the talent ultimately. But I've seen Costa Rica make the quarterfinals. I've seen some of these other teams with
Mexico. I know Mexico is not because they have the curse of the round of 32.
Yeah. Where Mexico cannot win to save their lives. Of course, they are in the other Gold Cup semifinal against Jamaica in San Diego. So, there'll be a lot of people crossing up from Tijuana to go see that. But I don't know. I'll be curious to see. I'll say the good thing is being in these close, tough games like this, hopefully will give them more and more experience to perform in those tough moments when you get to the World Cup here in a couple of years. And they need as many challenges as they possibly can together. So we'll see what happens here. They're entering the 58th minute. Still nil. But I will say this, the performance on Sunday right at the end, Matt Turner, in addition to his goalkeeping, he also had an assist on the game tying goal as well. So he was really out there doing everything. And, I wouldn't be remiss, too, if I didn't give some credit to Canada. Canada has gotten so much better the past couple of years. And they've actually made the World Cup last year. And I'm very curious to see if they can do any damage in 26.
Yeah, it's if the legacy they build on in the last World Cup, they can keep it. One thing before we move on to racing, next week we're gonna go deeper into the FIFA Women's World Cup, which starts in about 9 days for US, and I think Brazil is gonna be in 11 days because Brazil starts on on Monday actually, so it's 12 days for Brazil and 9 days for US.
Yeah, so then US is going to be looking for a pre-peat there. And then the question is, if not the U.S., then who takes out the Americans to win? Of course, the last team to beat America to win it all was Japan back in 2011. And of course, Brazil also had a game there that went down to the wire in 2011 as well. So I'll be curious to see who gets it done. But we'll definitely preview that next week. I'll have to do some research. Because obviously I know a lot about the American team. I don't know a lot about these other teams, so I'm going to have to really catch up.
I mean, one thing Brazil is going to have is Marta again. I think she's going for her 6th World Cup, and I will never forget the performance she put on in the 2007 World Cup semifinal versus US. That was magical. That was one of the best games of women's soccer I have ever seen, especially uh, players' performance like Marta. She dominated US in that semifinal.
Yeah, I'll never forget. At least for me, I'll never forget the 2015 final against Japan and how we put up like 5 goals in the first 30 minutes. I mean, including the one that Carly Lloyd hit from midfield. I mean, that was an absolute rocket. So it's, the I mentioned some magical moments in U.S. women's soccer as well, and and not to get too deep into the topic, but I'm just kind of curious to see how culturally we talk about this tournament in the U.S. with all of our various culture war stuff. Because I feel like there's going to be a certain segment of the population that's going to make it political the entire time, and it's going to be very obnoxious to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially with, I think it's gonna be, uh, gosh, what's her name? It's gonna be her last World Cup for.
Is it Alex Morgan? Let's see.
No, it's the striker.
Lloyd? Let's look at
Well,
the
she.
roster.
Oh my God, she.
Let's say
I
because
have.
Wambach retired. I know that. So Wambach retired. Um, oh no, Rapino, Megan Rapino.
Yeah, Megan Rapinoe. That's the
Oh
she.
yeah, yeah. She's definitely made a certain portion of the U.S. population mad with various statements over the years. So
Yeah,
yeah, just looking at
but I
it,
think
you
she's
still
going to retire. I think she's going to retire after this World Cup.
yeah, because you still have Alex Morgan, of course. Alex Morgan's actually had more appearances than Rapino. That's crazy. Morgan's had 207 appearances, while Rapino has had 199. You still got Julie Ertz, of course. That's Zach Ertz's wife. Um, she's on there. Kelly O'Hara. I remember she played very, very well. Who's the goalkeeper here? Oh, I think it's Nora, right? Yeah, it's Nora. Alyssa Nora. Because it used to be Hope Solo until she got drunk and started beating up that one guy. So, a long time ago.
Yeah,
So,
Brazil has the former U.S. coach Pia Sanhaj. She won gold medals in Beijing and London for U.S. in 2008 and 2012. So
yeah,
we have an experienced coach.
that's because I think Jill Ellis, the coach of the U.S., I think she retired, right? If I'm correct. So, we have a new coach. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, but so I wonder. I guess the U.S. going to be more excited about since as you point out, culturally, um, U.S. more into women's soccer, is more into their culture, into their um, you know day to day lives.
Well,
Brazil is.
of that. I mean, I still would venture guess is probably more popular in Brazil than the U.S., at least per capita. But I think in terms of our success, U.S. definitely has it.
I don't know because what I see is like women from what I saw from the 7 years I lived in the U.S., especially young women, teenagers are drawn into the sport because soccer is more known for being a sport that women tend to be the more focused into practicing. Not that men's soccer is not big in US. It is, but I feel like it's in schools and in the culture, women's soccer is stronger in US. Like in Brazil, it's still catching on.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely for women. I think that's a lot of them that when they look back at sports they play when they were kids. I mean, soccer is one of the ones like soccer, volleyball, softball, stuff like that. I mean, because we don't let them play football. And of course, you have basketball, and that's especially like in Tennessee. That's a huge part of the culture here. And I think the last couple of years as well. We've started the National Women's Soccer League (NWSL), and that's gotten more popular. I see that on TV more and more. I think I saw their title game went over 200,000 viewers, which was a marked increase. So it's getting an audience, and it's providing a pathway for these soccer players to continue their careers.
One player I'm excited to see, and she's gonna play against Brazil again, is Bunny Shaw for Jamaica.
Oh, yes, former the VFL, Lenny Shaw.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's you know it's a good time, and of course, the only crappy part is it's over in Australia and New Zealand. I don't even know what times these games come on because it's gonna
it's
be
gonna
all
be
the way.
very early. So the U.S. game for me, it's uh oh no, actually, it's gonna be Friday night. The U.S. game is gonna be at 10 p.m. Brazil time. So U.S. is 9 p.m.
Okay, yeah, so I see it's 9 p.m., 9 p.m., and then Portugal's 3 a.m. I can watch two of those.
Yeah, Brazil are hard. They're gonna play Monday 8 a.m. Then uh, on Sunday 7 a.m. Then their last game is gonna be on Wednesday 7 a.m. So so early.
Yeah. Well, hey, if I was on the West Coast, that last game it'd be 6 and midnight. So if you really have nothing to do on that night, I mean, hey, you can stay up to 2 a.m. I mean, I have stayed up to 2 a.m. for sporting events before. I mean, I just did so a few weeks ago for that fall Southern Miss game. Remember that started at like 10 p.m. and that went to like
Yeah.
1 a.m. But yeah. But hey, I'll be fun to see all the Australian and New Zealand stuff on the club, on the World Cup and on the world stage. So but we'll definitely have to go in and go through all the groups next week and kind of figure out what the road looks like for the U.S. and Brazil to potentially winning the whole thing.
Another update: U.S. is playing in volleyball as well. They're playing against Japan in the I think it's called the like the World League.
Huh, I did not know this. The World League, U.S.
Yeah,
versus.
Volleyball World League. It's the volleyball nations league, kind of. I think that's the in Portuguese it's called nations league. Is the women's volleyball nations league? Is in the quarterfinals. U.S. I think. Oh, they just won the first set, 25-23 against Japan.
Nice. Let's go, U.S.
Yeah, it's a interesting crowd. It's kind of crowded. It's a packed arena. I don't. But just updating on the another U.S. sports that is happening right now.
Yeah, because I see Brazil plays China, and the okay. I don't want to like make it a political or anything, but, like the irony of U.S. playing Japan and then Poland playing Germany
Ooh,
has not lost on me. The irony, but
yeah, that's
yeah,
what happens when you play international competition. It might something might like that happens.
yeah. But it'll be it sounds like it'll be a fun tournament. I'll have to see if you can watch it in the U.S. or not. Um,
Yeah, that's one thing I always like. I don't understand. Like U.S. always treat volleyball kind of. They are successful in volleyball. They won like gold medals and got titles, but it's so hard to watch it in US.
it's literally in Texas. It's in Arlington.
Oh,
Yeah. Let's see. It's going on right now. Where can you watch it? I'm reading an article on it. You can watch it on VBTV. What is VBTV? Is it it's a volleyball channel?
yeah, I think it's like a streaming service in Brazil. It's showing right now on the cable channel that I have. That's why I was updating, but I don't know in US where can you watch.
Select a plan. Oh, I have to pay $8 to watch it.
Yeah,
Mm,
but I'll
yeah,
keep you up to date. There, as I said, just finish up the uh, first set USB Japan 25-23.
yeah. And we are in the 69th minute. between the U.S. and Panama, and it's still 0-0. So, and of course,
And on that
obviously, this could go to extras. So,
and on
but
that
we'll see.
Poland Germany game, Poland beat Germany 3-1.
Good for Poland.
So Poland is the first teams in the semi. So U.S. and Japan are fighting right now. U.S. just won the first set. Then tomorrow, Brazil, China, and then Turkey versus Italy.
Yeah. I wouldn't think of Poland as a volleyball country.
Yeah,
You know?
the kind of the powerhouses in volleyball that I can think of are Brazil, U.S., Russia, Italy, now kind of China, Japan.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to see Russia in many international competitions for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the men's side, they're gonna play next on the quarterfinals. They play next Wednesday. U.S. plays France and Brazil plays Poland, and the tournament is in Poland.
Hmm.
The men's volleyball Nations League.
Yeah, they must really love volleyball in Poland. I would not have thought that, but hey,
I I guess volleyball is getting into the sports culture of Poland.
yeah, it's a totally a new Warsaw Pact. That's for sure. Um, anyway, so I guess let me transition into what I did this weekend down in Hampton, Georgia, outside of Atlanta. I went to my first ever NASCAR Cup Series race, and I just tell you, it's incredible seeing these cars in person, just how fast they actually go, seeing how steep the tracks actually are in person, right? Like, it's just crazy to think about what these drivers can hold onto their cars and keep control in such tight quarters too, because Atlanta is a pack racing, kind of like a Daytona or Talladega, and it was just super impressive to watch in person. Um, so I had a great time watching it. Outside of some mishaps getting there, okay, my tire blew up ironically on the way to a NASCAR race. I mean, I got the full NASCAR experience. Um, but hey, it was a great time, and because I know you said you've been to some NASCAR races at Bristol in the past.
Yeah, I've been to one race down in 2010. Was actually I didn't went to the the NASCAR series. I went to the Xfinity series and the Truck series, and I watched the press box. But but by the end of the race, I went near the track, and it was like an impressive experience. The sound of it, the racing sound, the feeling the wind and all the emotion of it. It's unique.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely unlike anything, and all the fans around you they're all rooting on different drivers, and they're all like just cheering them on. Let's go, keep on going, and like every restart was nuts because it was just like the entire grandstand was going nuts every time they restarted the race. Uh, the only unfortunate thing is it did get rain shortened. A rain came on us. I fortunately was able to book it back to my car and got in before it started pouring. Um, but it did cut the race a little short. William Byron in the 24 won the race. That was his fourth win of the year. A lot of commentators said Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Darrell Waltrip, both Hall of Famers, both stated that this was among one of the best races they've ever seen. And which, knowing those two who have seen thousands of races in their lifetime, that's pretty insane. And just being there in person, it was just mesmerizing to watch in person, to watch the runs, to watch how people were navigating the pack. And it's really interesting because it's really hard to follow all the strategies in person unless you have a scanner, and I didn't. So I was just kind of watching and just kind of noticing what people were doing on the track. Um, but you could tell the drivers knew that rain was coming at any time and the race could end at any time. So, and whenever you have a race like that, um, it really drives up the intensity. So it's certainly a great time. Definitely plan on doing more of it.
I kind of miss going on racing events. My last one was the 2020 Bristol night race. I I wasn't able to go to Brazil. Brazil has the stock car. They had the race in Sao Paulo, but I imagine was unique experience, and I imagine how privileged you felt when you were in a race that, like, people like Dale Earnhardt Jr. said was one of the best races they ever seen.
I know, and it's just crazy. Like I was debating whether or not to go to this race or go to Nashville a few weeks ago, and I'm glad I chose this one. I mean, it's to have legends say it was amongst the best they've ever seen, and to actually to see that in person. I mean, it's certainly something I will never forget, and um, it's
And
truly one of the most intense sports you could ever go to.
and I was so happy for you because I remember that you really drove into NASCAR because NASCAR was one of the first sports that came back in US after the pandemic stopped everything, and you really were our NASCAR kind of uh, guy update on Rockstar Sports, and 3 years later you were able to actually go to a live race.
Right, and because I grew up a major fan. Like when I was a little kid, it was the first. I loved this sport before I loved football. It's the first sport I remember loving, and I remember I used to really talk about it a lot with my grandfather. Um, and when I got older, when I got to like teenage years, I kind of fell out of love with it. Of course, Jeff Gordon was my favorite driver when he retired. I think I kind of retired with him as a fan. I didn't really watch it through college, but as you said, back in 2020, I kind of got back into it that season. And I think, um, kind of morbidly, when Brian Newman had his really bad crash, I still realized deep down how much I actually cared about the sport. And and then when the COVID happened, I started watching all these like history videos on YouTube and started following all these like different NASCAR creators. So yeah, when they came back first, it became a sport I followed closely again. And as an adult now, I can appreciate the strategies. I can appreciate the racing craft that I couldn't appreciate when I was a kid. So it's certainly a sport where I know a lot of people see it as just people driving in circles, but there's so much more than that when it comes to this sport. So and these guys, you got to realize they're not they're driving in cars with no AC. They're roasting, baking in these cars like 150 degrees for 3 hours. Um, it takes serious guts to do what they do, and I definitely have a huge appreciation for what they're willing to do and risk their bodies. I mean, it's dangerous. I know no one's died in NASCAR in over 20 years. Knock on wood. But I mean, people still get injured. I mean, we've literally Kurt Busch literally had his career end with a concussion. Alex Bowman's been injured twice in the last year. Um, I mean, stuff still happens. So I heavily appreciate it, and I definitely am riveted every time they hit the track. But next up on the NASCAR schedule this weekend is New Hampshire. Christopher Bell is the reigning winner there, and honestly, I think he's going to win again. He finished second the year before, and he just, New Hampshire's kind of the opposite of Atlanta. It's a flat track, a mile, so you have to really brake hard in the corners. And Christopher Bell, for whatever reason, is really good at that. So I think he'll get it done. But one more just quick racing note. Tony Stewart's XRX Series, the Superstar Racing Experience, returns tomorrow night. And of course, these are all like former retired drivers. I know Helio Castroneves will be doing, I believe, the third race here in a few weeks. Tony Kanon's in a couple of races. So a couple of Brazilians will be in that series. They'll be racing on short tracks and dirt tracks. So, obviously tracks that are very different than what you see in IndyCar, but they're trying their hand at more like stock car racing. Although it's mostly NASCAR drivers, but it's still cool to see the IndyCar, especially like Helio, and to see Kanon race against like the likes of like Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a unique experience, and I hope my Brazilian pals can do well.
Absolutely, and I think they will because I think Helio Castroneves, I think he almost won a race a few years ago in SRS, so it's pretty cool to see him do that in a stock car because I know he's normally an open wheel. So, but that starts tomorrow night. Anyway, moving over to Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball. This is All-Star Week. Of course, there are no games happening today because yesterday was the All-Star game in Seattle. And, I'll say this. I like any All-Star game. I think it's relatively unmemorable. Although Acuna, I will say his first pitch, Acuna hit one that should have been a home run, but there was an amazing catch that prevented it from being a home run. But otherwise, to me, it wasn't too memorable. Mostly background noise. I don't know if did you get to see any of the game, Gus?
To be honest, I couldn't because I was broadcasting soccer yesterday night. But kudos for the National League. They got their first win since 2012. So it was a decade of dominance to the American League. And finally, the National League was able to win it. I know it was, and it was on an American League ballpark.
I know. Isn't it fitting that Seattle would be the spot where the AL would lose?
Yeah. What a fit.
I know, it's crazy how the Mariners are such losers that it even permeates the entire AL. But it would be more interesting, because I know like a decade ago, you used to have the winner of the of the All-Star game host the World Series. But they don't do that anymore. So it feels less compelling, but at the same time, you shouldn't determine who gets to host the World Series based on the All-Star game.
Yeah, it was compelling, but at the same time was not fair for an exhibition game to define the home field advantage for such a big game like the World Series. I like it, but I understand why they got rid of.
Yeah, almost. But I always find home run derby of the All-Star week, the home run derby being the most compelling part, the most compelling competition, and Vladdy Jr. Won. He defeated Randy Arizona in the finals. But honestly, the most impressive performance was Julio Rodriguez. I mean, did you see his first round against Pete Alonso? 41 homers. Yeah, he beat him 41-21, a round record in the home run derby. Of course, Rodriguez was playing in his home park. Just obliterated Alonso, but then lost by one home run in the semis to Vladdy Jr. Definitely impressive.
Vladdy is such a bomber, and I think this year he's better than last year. So he just proved that he's kind of like a player who's getting better every year.
Oh, absolutely, and it really was a good competition. In the first round too. Adley Rutschman, I thought he was absolutely on fire in that first round from the Orioles, but he got defeated in the first round by Robert Jr. from the White Sox. So it was really a good home. I really wish Shohei Ohtani would do it. I want to see what number he would put up.
Yeah, I understood why he did it. He's been such a he wants to focus more on the regular season. That it would have been more compelling and more definitely people be tuning in more to watch it, but he doesn't want to take the risk of getting an injury.
Absolutely, and the whole draft weekend, or the whole All-Star weekend, started with the MLB draft on Sunday night. And, with the MLB draft, a lot of these guys are going to go straight to minor leagues. A lot of them aren't going to ever make it to the majors. Some of them will go straight to college. But, some of the top ones will be potential first-round starts. And to me, I think the two to watch are the first two picks. Paul Skeens from LSU got picked by the Pirates first overall. He was LSU starting pitcher, and he was just phenomenal. I mean, he shut down Tennessee in the World Series. I think he shut down, was it Wake Forest in that 11 inning game? I mean, he didn't let up a single run the entirety of Omaha. I mean, it was just unbelievable what he did. One of the great performances in college sports. And then Dylan Cruz, who was also insane. I think he hit like 300 and had like 5 or 6 home runs in Omaha as well. LSU was just completely loaded, and they had the top 2 picks as Dylan Cruz goes to the Nationals. Also, shout out to Tennessee, Chase Dolander, who's had a very good career. He got picked 9th overall. He's going to Colorado, the Rockies, which is a scary assignment for a pitcher, but someone has to be the pitcher in Colorado. And that's going to have to be Chase. And plus, for Dolander, at least, he's got some experience pitching in a high elevation, because Knoxville has a bit of a high elevation. So at least he's got that experience. Because I know some other Tennessee had several other.
One thing that was interesting, I don't know if you saw it, DJ Ugalele, former Clemson's quarterback, and now he's at Oregon State, was also picked in this MLB draft.
I did not know that, but obviously, I don't think he will be choosing baseball over football, because obviously it's going to be a very low pick. Because the MLB draft is just so.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 20th pick.
Absolutely, Tennessee had several. Jared Dickey, he got drafted. Maui Ahuna got drafted. So just a lot, obviously a lot of players for the Vols. But Chase Dolander obviously is a star. Maui Ahuna, Andrew Lindsay, who started several games. He got drafted with the Marlins in the 5th round. Talk about Dickey, Zach Joyce, Jake Fitzgibbons, Bryce Jenkins. So, and there's also 2 potential signees and transfers. Carson Rucker got taken 4th in the 4th round. He is a freshman. So hopefully he'll choose to come to Tennessee instead of going to the MLB. But you never know. There's also Ryan Galaney, who was the Wofford transfer that came in a few weeks ago. He got drafted, but hopefully he chooses to go to Knoxville instead of going to the MLB. And of course, I think beyond a certain point in the MLB, I think there's a point where you might be better off coming back to college, because after getting drafted, you can come back straight to college instead of going straight to the MLB. It's not like NBA, it's not like NFL. And I think at this point, college baseball is much more valuable with the NIL deals and the viewership than any minor league team is. Like, people will much more religiously watch Tennessee baseball than they would the Smokies or the Lookouts.
Yeah, and as you point out, the name, image, and likeness changed the whole perspective, because like 10 years ago, we kind of argued that, for a lot of young prospects, young talent in baseball, were to go straight to the minor leagues and try to at least get paid there and to go to major leagues. And now with NIL, if you're a star in Tennessee baseball, you can make good money.
Oh, yes. And especially in any place in the SEC, even the ACC. I think college basketball is just growing and growing and growing. It's becoming more and more of a big time event. So I really do believe that we are going to an era where minor league teams are going to struggle, because we've discussed our minor league struggling before. Because I remember talking about this during the COVID pandemic. We had discussions about all these teams shutting down, and literally the federal government had to step in at one point and save like a lot of teams. So I think college baseball is more viable and more healthy place.
And you remember there were a lot of teams that were cut it. One of those, I remember the Jackson Generals in Tennessee was cut it. there are a lot of teams that were cutted by the new design minor league baseball the MLB did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean the Southern League is only 8 teams now. I mean it's just insane just how lean it is and how different it is at this point in time. So we'll see how that affects prospects. And obviously, with less teams, that means there's less minor league slots. So I think that has to factor in some people's decisions as well. But that's the MLB draft in a nutshell. One more MLB note I wanted to bring. Actually, there's two more MLB notes I wanted to bring up. My former roommate and friend Nick Swanson brought this up to me earlier. Diehard A's fan. Apparently, so obviously he's been telling me a lot about the Oakland situation and the latest on that. So today it came out that Oakland's mayor, I believe her name is Jenny Zhao, I believe was her name. Anyway, so Oakland's mayor came out today, Shang Tao. She came out and said that the MLB was lying about Oakland not having any stadium plans, and that in fact they did have stadium plans. And they put it up out there for the entire world to read today, and saying that Ron Manfred and John Fisher are lying on Oakland's names. Yeah, I mean, so this is the quote from the article from The Athletic. Asked if the city would be willing to make an upgrade proposal, Mayor Tao said, absolutely. If A's owner John Fisher and President Dave Cavall, our new owner, come to the table again to start a real conversation, a true partnership, but how do we keep the Oakland A's here and how do we build out a stadium? Absolutely 100%. The city and the presentation had prepared for Manfred and the owners said it secured more than $425 million in funding to cover offsite infrastructure costs, $65 million more than the A's requested. The team would also pay for on-site infrastructure and development, but the city would reimburse about $500 million of that cost with the creation of an infrastructure financing district. According to Molly Mabrin, the city's lead negotiator and project manager for the Howard Terminal site. The city has yet to hear back from the A's, Tao said. There is a current offer on the table. Since the offer was made, we have been awarded 2 additional grants, Tao said. So she's saying we have the money, but the MLB and the A's are so committed to Las Vegas, they're not listening.
Yeah, it's and how much they committed to it, how much they want to leave Oakland after all the kind of middle finger kind of delay to remodeling or updating the Coliseum or find another place. And I think she's doing more to kind of try to save her political career because Oakland has been kind of downfalling, so she wants to hang on to something. It's kind of similar to another situation that I'm gonna mention later. That there's a city literally by near here in Americana. There's also the team might lose the stadium as well, and the politicians are being pressured to do something about it. So I know the feeling of the Oakland mayor.
Absolutely, and she's only been in office since this year, so she just started her first term as the mayor this year. So she's actually very new, definitely trying to make her name for herself. And I think, obviously in her position, she's not the one that let the Raiders go. She's not the one that let the Warriors go. So she's kind of in a position where the A's were already on their way out when I was coming in. So I can be a big time grandstanding. Oh, no. Panama scored. 2 minutes left.
Oh boy!
What's offsides? It's offsides, and the Panamanians are besides themselves. Holy cow! They called offsides. Let's check here. So they got the replay, and there was just a whole scrum. The Americans say we had kicked it out. Oh yeah, there's like 3 offsides. Holy cow! There's just so many offsides. So right call, but man. And the Panama thinks there was a handball, and that actually might have gone off one of our guys' arms. It looks like, but I don't think they called it. Are we doing a VAR check? I cannot tell. They're standing around right now. Of course, I'm not listening to the commentary. I'm just trying to read lips, kind of read what's going on. We are in the 94th minute, 5 extra minutes in regulation. Oh, are they going to get a penalty? Man, it's interesting not listening to commentary and understand. I think they're still discussing what's going on. And the refs had enough of the Panamanians, it looks like. I don't know if that's what they're called, the Panamanians. Matt Turner's making his case. Yeah, I think they're doing a review. So tense moments because if Panama, if they rule a handball, then Panama will get a penalty kick to effectively to try to win the game. If they
So hold on. So they scored, but it's offside, but there can be a penalty.
Potentially. And I think, yeah, no handball. I think they ruled no handball. The Panamanians are furious. And it looks like they're going to go into extra time here, barring last second miracle. Matt Turner kicks it off here in the 96th minute. So I imagine we'll be going to extra time. But wow, Panama thought they had the game won. But they're going to have to win it in overtime. So insane sequence there. But still, Panama. I mean, they're still dominant possession. Panama's been playing. It's been the better team, I think, today. But we'll see if the U.S. can steal it here in extra time. But they're still in regulation. So, and they're actually in the Panama half of the field. So we'll see if America can maybe steal one here at the end, and then they turn over the ball. This offense is so disorganized. Like, this is not going to cut it in 26. And Panama's going to have one last chance, I think, in regulation, and they screw up the cross. They had a guy, I think, that could have connected if they had connected, but that didn't happen. So, anyway, I forgot where we were even at. We were on.
We were in baseball, but another update down in volleyball. U.S. and Japan are playing into the the second set. It's still very even match, and in Brazilian Cup, Grêmio advanced in penalty kicks. I'm gonna get to that later, and also Flamengo halftime is winning over Atlético Paranaense. But I think
the U.S. is going to get a free kick here, just right outside of the box. U.S. to get a free kick, probably 30 yards away. I don't know who 14 is. So I know these are not like the A team. Let's see here. We'll see who can kick it in. We got Mazaga and Sands. So this should be, I think, the last play. We're already in the 98th minute, and what was supposed to be +5. Coming off of the right hash. Let's see if they can bury it. And they're going to try for a header, and that didn't work. And they're going to extra time. So, drama in San Diego between the Americans and the Panamanians.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a very dramatic semifinals in San Diego. I mean, and I imagine the frustration. You're getting a goal and it's annulled.
Yeah, I mean, how do you regroup if you're Panama heading into extras here? Knowing you had the game won, and now you got to go win it all over again, basically. So definitely drama ongoing. But I think we were on the Oakland mayor. Yeah, but she's new to the office, and I think that gives her a unique position to try to battle the MLB here. I don't think Oakland's going to win. As much as I would love to see them win, because the A's and the MLB clearly do not care about Oakland. They think they're a bunch of scoundrel, and they want the sexy lights of Las Vegas. That's what they want. And at the end of the day, money is going to win. The MLB, though, I think they need to be really careful about how they handle this whole situation from here on out, because you're risking not just losing Oakland. I think you're risking losing other fans in other cities too, because I mean it's just so callously we don't care about the fans. If Oakland does this without any grace whatsoever, and it seems like they're doing this without any grace. And I think Rob Manfred has been known to not be the most fan friendly commissioner. He's been known not to make the right decisions, and I think this could be another detrimental situation for MLB.
Yeah, it's Rob Manfred's tenure as MLB commissioner has been with a lot of controversies with the Houston Astros, the whole, you know, stealing signs debacle, and the now with this situation with Oakland. Wonder like how the league is gonna see, all the owners are gonna see how Manfred handles the situation. Great update, US now 2-0 over Japan in the quarterfinals of the Nations League Women's Volleyball. Now going into third
Go.
set.
Let's go, Americans. It's awesome. All right. One last note on MLB. The Braves take their last series right before the All-Star break 2-1 against the best team in the AL. It was the battle between the best record in the MLB in the NL versus the best record in the AL in Tampa, between the Braves and the A's. And the Braves head into the break with the best record at 60-29. Does that, with that series win, does that make them the World Series favorites right now?
I think it at least makes them one of the top contenders. I wouldn't say favorites. There's a lot of things that can happen in the All Star break. After the All Star break, whoever gets the Shohei Ohtani, if the Angels decide to trade him, also can be considered favorites. But definitely, this series show that the Braves are one of the top contenders.
Yeah, it seems like there's more and more of a chance this could happen. I mean, the Angels are 45-46, which I don't know how they managed to do that with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, but I mean, you're literally only above the A's right now. I mean, it's just insane how much they underachieve.
It's because baseball is not like basketball. If it was like, if the Angels had like two really top players in basketball, yeah, you would be a top contender. But in baseball, it depends on like how many pitchers, because Shohei is one pitcher. He pitches every 4 to 5 days, and you play every day. So you need a loaded roster with pitchers and bullpen and hitters. And I think the Angels just are an overall average team. I know they have two stellar players, but the rest are below average.
Yeah. And I feel bad for Angels fans, because you're about to lose them, and you're about to be really, really bad. So I'll be curious to see who wins those sweepstakes. Also, just to note, I guess if we want to do just kind of like a quick, just kind of what overall, like what is our main impressions at the All-Star break in this MLB season. Obviously, as a Braves fan, I'm loving it so far. It's been an amazing start for Atlanta. But overall, I guess my biggest story is how shockingly bad the New York team seem to be this year. I mean, I know the Yankees have a winning record, but they're fourth in the AL East and literally only a game above the Red Sox. I mean, they're close to being the last place in AL East. And the Mets have been just an abject failure this entire season.
They're only above the tanking Nationals, and Steve Cohen can go in the press conference and try to calm the fans and the media, but because baseball is not like they were in the 90s, they can buy the players and somehow they'll figure out a way to win it. You can have Mark Scherzer and Vanlanders, but the chemistry is just isn't there.
Yeah. I think also some of the other big notes here, the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals. We haven't really talked about them that much, but man, they've been the struggle bus. They're 30 and 52. They're last in the NL Central. It's so unusual seeing them being at the bottom of
And
that division.
kudos for the Cincinnati Reds. They're leading the NL Central. I don't remember even the last time the Reds were like a contender.
It's been like a decade at least. So it's been a very, very long time. Extra time has started, by the way, in San Diego. Oh my God, we totally had a chance there, but our guy slipped in the box. I don't think they called a penalty, but
Also
um,
the also the Padres. How disappointing they're doing this season. With so many expectations with Fernando Tatis coming back, Manny Machado, Juan Soto.
yeah, and the Diamondbacks, you kind of didn't see them. I didn't really see them like being tied with the Dodgers at the break. I mean, shout out to the Marlins. I mean, being second in the NL East. It's been a long time since they have been competitive. And the Rangers, the Texas Rangers, I know they made a lot of moves this offseason, so maybe it's not a complete shock that they're really good, but being above the Astros, I think it's a little bit surprising. Um, and it feels like the AL East is just all upside down. The Rays and the Orioles being 1-2. And the Orioles being 2 games back is just incredible. I think the AL East is going to have an amazing race down the stretch. I mean, really, any of those 5 teams could win, even the Red Sox, because I mean they've done a lot better over the past month or so. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and they now have got to win a record. And it feels like Boston over the past 20 years has had a propensity for just getting hot out of nowhere.
Yeah, but the AL Central is the most objectual, mediocre division, not only in baseball, any sport. Like the Guardians are leading; they are 500 team. The rest are just have like under 40 wins. Tigers, Red Sox, and the Royals.
Yeah, it's basically who gets to get destroyed by the second place team, by the AL West champion in the playoffs. It feels like I mean, it's like the AFC South last year. But I will say this, the Braves, they won their division 88 and 74 back in 2021, and they won it all. So, hey, no matter who wins that division, they could get hot in the playoffs. So it's certainly a race still watching between the Guardians and the Twins. I don't see the Tigers or the White Sox getting back into it. I would honestly, I would love to see the Tigers just because that's a different team, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be between Cleveland and Minnesota. And it's just sad to see the Royals how much they're falling. I know they last decade they succeed, getting to the World Series twice, winning once, but they're really falling apart.
Yeah, and also I guess we kind of alluded to them earlier. I think the Blue Jays and the Mariners are two teams that could go either way. I mean, the Blue Jays are right there in the middle of the AL East. They have a chance of coming back and winning it all. They're probably more likely just to compete for a wild card spot. The Mariners, they're an interesting spot too. They're at third. They're just one game above 500. If they can get hot, what are their chances of getting to the postseason? I mean, because that'd be for the second straight year they can get to the postseason. And of course, last year those crowds in Seattle were insane for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. It's Seattle deserves to go back to the playoffs because they don't want to start another drought.
That's very true. They definitely don't want to. So, it's yeah, definitely it's crazy that we're already at the All-Star break. And as I always like to say, now the real race begins. The real season begins as we speed ahead to October and start figuring out who is going to be playing in the Fall Classic. So a lot of baseball to be played in the MLB. All right, a little bit of basketball real quick. Summer League started over the weekend, and the main attraction, of course, was Victor Wembanyama. number one draft pick for the Spurs. His security guard punched Britney Spears in the face, allegedly. But after that, we actually had some basketball to be played. And he kind of had a lackluster debut. He only scored 2 field goals in his debut. But in game 2, he had 27 points and 12 rebounds. And after that, they elected to shut him down and said, we don't really need him to play any more Summer League. We know what we got, and we'll kind of keep him fresh and keep him ready to go. What do you think about that? After 2 games, the Spurs are so confident in their new rookie that, we don't need Summer League for him. We'll rest him, and we will get him ready to go for October.
Yeah, that's true. I think Victor Wembanyama, it was the right move by Popovich, which, by the way, renewed his contract by the Spurs.
Yeah.
So now he has a new contract. I
read where he wants to coach at San Antonio for 5 more years.
Yeah, like he was about to retire from renewing his contract. What a star player does.
Oh yeah, because he thinks he can win one more title. And think about this: if he wins a title with Wembanyama, I think he was unquestionably the GOAT.
Yeah, because he'll win with Robinson, Duncan,
Kawhi,
and now with Wembanyama.
Yeah, so it's insane what he has done. And to win a title without Duncan too would be amazing as well. So it's kind of sad because it feels like that was the only reason why anyone really cared about Summer League. But we'll see him when the show actually begins this season. And some much worse news. Longtime Northwestern head football coach Pat Fitzgerald was fired this week because of allegations against the Northwestern Wildcat football program of hazing. And some of the details on this, if true, are pretty disturbing. Allegedly, freshman football players were forced to strip down in the locker rooms and forced to commit sexual acts with other players, and just all kinds of crazy stuff that is being alleged, and stuff that was uncovered by student journalists as well at Northwestern. And by the way, obviously Northwestern, one of the best journalism schools in the entire country, so it doesn't surprise me. And Panama just scored, and I think that one is going to count. And I don't know. And I don't know where Matt Turner even was there. I think Matt Turner had tried to punch it out. I think they're going to have a replay here in a second. Yeah, but the entire bench is celebrating in the corner as Panama has scored in the 99th minute. So there's still about 20 minutes left in extra time. But yeah. So Panama has taken the lead. So
yeah, in Brazil, Flamengo 1-0 lead over Atlético Paranaense in the Brazilian Cup quarterfinals. But just to wrap up NBA, as we were talking about, I think Victor Wembanyama, this first year, I think Greg Popovich wanted to see how much he can use him, but not overuse him. Like, take it slow. Like, they don't want Victor Wembanyama to go for Rookie of the Year. They want a slow but steady development.
So I just now saw that replay. Oh, that was bad. So basically, a whole defense got caught napping. The guy from Panama was onside, and then he was 1-on-1 with Matt Turner, and Turner just yeeps out at the ball, and it just terribly misses it. Anderson scored for Panama. And just a terrible mistake by Matt Turner, a very rare mistake by him in this Gold Cup. And Panama's on the run again. Are they going to score again? Oh, man, they might have another chance. Yeah, but anyway, Matt Turner saved that one. But Panama clearly is feeling it right now. Does not look good for the Americans. So, yeah, just a horrible defense by the U.S.
Yeah, they said they conceded a goal.
Yeah, but anyway, so back on Northwestern. So, um, yeah, but it's just insane. Pastoral, he's been there for 16 years. And obviously Northwestern had several really good seasons. Historically, Northwestern's not a very good program because of the high academic standards. But they still won a couple of divisions while he was there. I made several bowl games. They lost to Tennessee by 40 to Butch Jones, but I mean, talent level was just not there to beat that particular Tennessee team. Um, and I saw a lot of hot lists in the offseason saying that Pastor Drill was one of the coaches on the hot seat, and I had thought that was ridiculous because I mean it's Northwestern, like they don't have any expectations up there. But the moment you start getting into hazing, it's never a good sign. It's never a good sign of culture, and it's just an outdated practice of building team morale. Like you have to build your team morale in a much more positive light than that.
Yeah, it's a disgraceful thing to have those practices. I mean, I know Northwestern kind of had her Northwestern best season. I think it was 2020. They made to the Big Ten championship. I know it was a short season, but they were really close to eliminating Ohio State, and I was rooting for them.
Yeah, 2018 in the full season, they also made it to the Big Ten title game as well. So they had won the division 2 out of 3 years. I mean, that's stuff you're not supposed to do at Northwestern, and it's disappointing to see a guy that you thought was an upstanding coach was doing things the right way. Secretly, they really weren't. So I think for Northwestern, they're going to go into some dark ages. Because it's going to be hard for anybody to win at a high level at Northwestern. And I think Pat Madrell was someone who knew how to do it on a semi-regular basis. So it's going to be hard for them to, I think, replace that. But it's a move that had to be made because you can't permit that to happen. It's just unfortunately one and another litany of weird, just really disgraceful situations coming out of the Big Ten. Think about in the last decade, you've had situations at Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan State, and now Northwestern. And I guess something's going on, Gus, down in Brazil.
They just knolled a Flamengo goal that was obviously not offside. That was clearly not offside.
Whoa, that's crazy.
That was one of the worst mistakes of a referee I ever seen. With VAR, it was.
I wonder how the Brazilian Twitter or Facebook or wherever people go react.
Oh, the I bet on Twitter even are furious. I want to see the reaction of it because
you got to look it up and let me know what they're saying. Because
I mean, it wasn't like there's no way to say how big the mistake they made with this offside was. Gabigol was clearly behind the defender when he was passed, and they pull up a line, but it was not the way they did it was not correct. I just say that.
Wow, that's pretty unbelievable. But I mean, I guess it is believable with all the issues with VAR in Brazil that you've told me.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely want to talk about referees in Brazil are not having a good time recently, definitely, and another big mistake right now.
Wow, it's a crazy
Right, like on Twitter, people are saying they are robbing Flamengo. Flamengo was robbed with VAR. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine if this goal was no against Flamengo. Everybody were having a meltdown, conspiracy theory, called the system, and they're robbing Flamengo in Curitiba. Jesus Christ! I lived to see Flamengo being robbed. Flamengo was robbed bigly. They're robbing my Flamengo. That's what they say on Twitter.
Wow, that is just unbelievable. Oh, let's go! Goal United States! We have tied it at this level at 1-1 in the 105th minute. Halfway through extra time. Unbelievable. I totally missed the goals looking down. We kicked it in from halfway, from half field. It was just a simple kick up to the front of the box, and we kicked it back to the left, and we're able to strike it in. Unbelievable. 1-1 in the stadium in San Diego is absolutely rocking.
I wish I could see. I don't have the channel that is broadcasting here. I don't have it, sadly. But I imagine they're going crazy.
Yeah, I would show it, but I don't know if that would like violate copyright or anything.
I,
Um,
just a little bit, if you can.
yeah,
Probably not.
let's see here. I'm probably going to turn off my background here for a second. Let's see. Uh, on if I turn off edit. Nope. Um,
It's okay. It's okay. I'll see you later.
because if I do that, you can see it barely coming through, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. So yeah, but anyway, they're a halftime of extra time now. It's 1-1. So and it's coming down to the stretch again. Yeah, a crazy game.
I guess it'd be a very full Wednesday night sports night here for us.
Oh, absolutely. And you usually think of the day after the All-Star game as one of the slowest. I mean, there's a reason why they have the ESPYs on this particular day, because normally it is the quietest day in sports, but it's definitely not today.
Yeah, Japan is leading U.S. 20-14 in third set in the women's Nations League volleyball.
Yeah, and I guess while I think about it, I don't know. I don't know. Did you have anything else to say on the Northwestern? I got totally derailed on that
No,
topic.
it's okay. Let's move on.
Well, let's jump over to ESPYs, because actually I'll leave that in for a sec. The I don't know. I haven't watched the ESPYs in years personally. I don't I don't need an award show on a bunch of competitions I've already watched. At least to me.
I
The whole
mean, the
concept doesn't make any
the,
sense.
the coolest moment was Damar Hamlin, handling the he's presenting the Bills training staff with the Pat Tillman Award for Service. That was a big moment since Damar Hamlin definitely owes his life to the Bills training staff.
Yeah, I mean that I still cannot believe that he ended up being all right from that situation. Because I remember the episode we did right after that, and just how like hard that was to talk about that situation. Um, so definitely
So
that's the craziest moments of the past year.
So the awards. So Patrick Mahomes got the Male Athlete of the Year. Michaela Schifrin, Female Athlete of the Year. The U.S. Women's National Soccer Team got the Courage Award. Liam Hendricks got the Jimmy V Award. Jamal Murray got the Comeback Player of the Year.
I was just saying, I don't know who Michaela Schifrin even is. She's skiing. Okay.
Yeah, she competes in. She's a two-time gold Olympic medalist in alpinism, alpine skiing.
Yeah. So it's certainly something that I can't really get into. As I said, I just think award shows in general at this point are really outdated and annoying. But hey, if you enjoy it, that's a big ups to you. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. Um, but it's really when you're at the ESPYS and it's time to officially flip the calendar. You are done with the calendar year of sports, and now it's time to really get into that new year. And that football is near. Of course, next week is SEC Media Days, and definitely, I think next week is time for us to really start going into some college football previews as we get closer and closer to the start of the season. So that's what I love about the ESPYs. It's that it signals that a lot of things are getting much, much closer. Back on college football real quick. There's one thing I wanted to discuss down in Georgia. UGA. Apparently, they're in a legal battle with the Atlanta Journal Constitution because the AJC ran an article a couple weeks ago claiming that a football recruit, um, Jamal Jarrett, had sexually assaulted a woman while he was visiting the campus of the University of Georgia. But after obtaining police reports and text messages, it was found by other websites and other reporters that that was not true. That if anything, a crime was committed against Jarrett and not by him because of age of consent rules and everything else. So I don't have to go all into that because he was 16, the woman was 20. A lot of places that's not legal. And Georgia it technically is because consent is 16 in that state, but still not I would say not a good look. I would say for UGA on that front that this occurred, but still, the AJC alleging that Jared had committed a crime that turned out not to be true, slanderous to say the least. And UGA is saying you need to retract that article. They've sent their legal department has sent a letter, and it says in part that I write on behalf of the University of Georgia Athletic Association to demand the prompt retraction of a recent article authored by investigative reporter Alan Judd entitled UGA Football Program Rallies When Players Accused of Abusing Women. So, and that's literally the headline from the AJC. And you do have to remember it is headquartered in Atlanta. So you have to wonder, was this guy a Georgia Tech grad, Georgia Tech fan? And was just writing it just because he hates Georgia. You know, it's kind of one of those things that, and they claim that Mr. Judd's article is replete with errors, unsubstantiated allegations, innuendo, and possibly even fabrications.
Yeah, it's a whole mess. It's hard when you had to deal with a situation like that.
Yeah, and like there's certain times where you really have to check your own biases as a reporter, and like if you can't do it, like you have to say it, and you have to recuse yourself. Like if I were asked, I mean, if I were asked to really cover a situation that closely on the University of Alabama, I don't know if I personally could do it because of my personal biases against those schools. I mean, I would potentially have to retract myself, just because I have such a deep connection to those particular parties. And I think that's the responsibility of any journalist to recognize when they have those biases and they can't objectively report on something. So if Alan Judd has that objection personally, I get it. I don't like UGA either, but you can't be making up stories like this just because you don't like UGA. So I think that's a lesson for all of us, to remember.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I think it's hard to with biases and everything, and you have to get your story right because an article written is like a stone that is thrown. You cannot back throw.
Oh no, yeah. When you hit the publish button, that's out there forever. Um, and so that's why as we say in our newsroom, you attribute. When it's something controversial like that, it's like someone committed a crime. You are not saying that X person did X crime. You're saying the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office said this X person committed first degree murder. It's basic stuff, and it sounds like this guy in his article did not do that. So just very sloppy reporting on his part. But anyway, the one last note I do want to bring up, and this is a really sad note, is unfortunately Dick Vitale has announced that he has been battling cancer the past couple of years. He did announce that he has vocal cord cancer and will have to seek remediation treatment for the next 6 weeks. And obviously prayers out to him. And I just want to say I definitely admire his fight because I know he's been battling the past couple of years with cancer, and hopefully Dickie can continue to fight.
It's a scary cancer. I mean, especially for broadcasters.
Yeah, and I saw where yesterday he shared a message he received from Rick Barnes because him and Coach Barnes are very close, are very close, and Barnes has been very much a big supporter of his throughout this entire process. So that was it's always cool to see Barnes always reaching out to him to be an inspiration.
Yeah, my thoughts and prayers also for Dick Vitalo. I hope Dick Vitale. I hope he has a good recovery and go back to be a great broadcaster that he is.
Absolutely, but that's all I have on the American side of things. Um, but what's going on in Brazil?
I'm going to start with the Brazilian Cup quarterfinals. Flamengo is winning 1-0. I just talk about how, for me, they got robbed. They should have be 2-0. They should not be the offside. But it looks like Atlético Paranaense were not able to go because they need to score twice to at least get to penalty kicks. I don't think they're going to do that. Grêmio had tough time against Bahia. They tied 1-1. Each team had a chance to win the game by the end, but in penalty kicks, 6-5, Grêmio advanced to the semifinals, waiting for Flamengo or Atlético Paranaense. Tomorrow, Palmeiras versus Sao Paulo, and it's going to be a testament for Palmeiras because Palmeiras had only won one game on the last five. I think they're facing their first crisis. I think this year has been a kind of like a turmoil for Palmeiras. Like fans are complaining that Palmeiras front office, especially Palmeiras president Leila Pereira, has not signing players, only sold players like Danilo, Gustavo Scarpa, now Rafael Navarro, Tabata. They only got in the market Arthur and Richard Rios, which are one is a really good player they bought out of Bragantino, and the other one they got from Guarani. But Palmeiras fans expect more because they supposedly have a good sponsor, they have money, a team that is a rich team. So Palmeiras fans are disappointed that the front office has not got good players, and Palmeiras fans feels that this roster has kind of give all they could give, and they're kind of like saturated. So tomorrow's going to be a testament. If Palmeiras is eliminated from the Brazilian Cup, it's I think the crises are going to be bigger. I don't know if they're going to call for Abel Ferreira to be fired, but definitely they're going to be even more vocal against the front office, especially Leila Pereira.
And it's just crazy just how quickly you can go from beloved to criticized in
Yeah,
Brazilian soccer. I mean, just you win everything and then you start missing a couple of things for part of 1 year, and then it's not enough anymore. I can't imagine what dealing with that pressure all the time must feel like.
and I mean this year they won the only tournament they won, which was the Paulista Cup, and they won very convincingly. I know the team in the final was Agua Santa, which was a beautiful Cinderella story, but it was a weaker opponent. And I mean, I think Palmeiras is going to get eliminated. I think São Paulo is going to advance. And they're going to tie the game and they're going to advance.
That's what I can see that. I mean, Sao Paulo, I mean, they've been playing really well. I mean, they're up there. I think they're like fifth or sixth right now in the Braziliar standings. So I mean, they've had a pretty decent run of things.
Yeah, um, Dorival Jr. has done a really good job. I think they're doing well. They're not great, but they're not bad. They're doing well. And if they are advanced to the Brazilian Cup semifinals, I think that they can really get a shot on winning because whoever advances is going to face Corinthians or América Mineiro, and both are in crisis. América Mineiro more so because they are in the bottom. They're in the bottom, the last position in the Brazilian league. They lost yesterday in the playoffs of Copa Sul-Americana. But I think Corinthians is going to advance. I think Corinthians is going to advance on penalty kicks. They're going to win 1-0 at home on Saturday, and they're going to advance to penalties. So Corinthians versus Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo, in my opinion, is going to be the favorite, but Corinthians has a tradition of eliminating Sao Paulo in the playoffs. Like Sao Paulo is Corinthians' bitch when it comes to playoffs.
I don't know though. I mean, Corinthians though, as you've said, they've just been so off this year. They've been so bad, and they've been such a cluster crap. I mean, they're literally only 4 points right now above the cut line in the National League. I think that there's going to be a scenario where if you're Sao Paulo, you've got to start putting out some death blows
Yeah,
to Corinthians. Like Sao Paulo needs to find a way to get it done.
definitely. It's going to be the statement. If São Paulo advanced to the Brazilian Cup final, I think it show first it show how good Dorival Jr. is a coach because he was the coach that got Flamengo the Brazilian Cup and Libertadores final, and he was fired. So if he wins with São Paulo, people are going to be like, was Dorival Jr. underestimated in Flamengo?
Unfortunately, the U.S. One of our lead scorers, Jesus Ferreira, who has 7 goals in this Gold Cup right now, leading the race for the Golden Boot, and actually scored that goal a few minutes ago. He is down, and they brought out the cart, so they might have to carry him off the field as play has been stopped. It's at one. It's the 118th minute. It's 1-1. So unless somebody scores here, oh no, he's back up. He is walking around. I don't know if they're just wasting time or what, but it's 1-1. We'll see if they go to penalty kicks.
Yeah. Just to wrap up real quick, Brazilian sports. In the Brazilian league, Botafogo is dominating. They beat on Sunday Grêmio, which was the second place, now down in the third place, 2-0 on the road. They won 12 out of their 14 games. They got the new coach that was presented yesterday, Bruno Lage, that has coached in Portugal and in England. So Botafogo fans are, they're on the top of the world. They are, you know, they are in in honeymoon with the team, and they just won with the backups 2-0 on the road in the playoffs of Copa Sul-Americana. So, I mean, they're doing great. I mean, I'm kind of rooting for Botafogo to win because Botafogo has not won in 28 years. What we call here the Big 12, the Big 12 teams, they have the longest streak without winning the National League. Because Corinthians won recently, São Paulo, Palmeiras, Santos won it, Fluminense won recently, Flamengo won recently, Vasco won. Last time was like 2000, so also has kind of won this century. Cruzeiro won it, Atlético Mineiro won it. So Botafogo has the longest streak without winning the Brazilian National League, which was in 1995.
Yeah, and I had to ask just how good right now is Tiquinho Soares. I don't know if I said
Oh,
that.
Tiquinho Soares. He's the lead player of Botafogo. He's the star. I think he's gonna go to Lyon next season. I bet because John Textor owns Botafogo and Lyon, so I would say he is going to go to Europe really soon.
And considering that he's like 4 goals ahead of like anyone else in the league, what are there any chances of us seeing him go into the international team?
Into Europe, you say?
Well, I mean, not just Europe, but like onto the Brazilian team itself.
No, no, no. Unfortunately, no. I think he's gonna have to do well in Europe or kind of be even. Unfortunately, he plays for Botafogo. Like if he was doing that in Flamengo, maybe, but in Botafogo, unfortunately, it's not a team that caught the attention of maybe now with Fernando Diniz that coaches Fluminense has a direct rival of Flamengo, maybe, but I don't know how compelling uh he did. Like I don't know how good, like I don't know how, like if he was a short, like he's doing good this season, but I know how, if the is compelling enough for a call in the Brazilian national team.
Yeah, I mean it's just crazy to me though because I'm looking at the Football Reference and it says the average attendance for Botafogo is like 22,000 compared to like Flamingo's 56,000.
Yeah, Botafogo is kind of Botafogo has an issue that the fans demographics are getting older. Botafogo has probably the oldest fans down in Rio. So that's a problem because younger fans want to root for Flamengo because all the stars, Gabigol, Bruno Henrique, Everton Ribeiro, Vasco is more popular team, is more like has more kind of appealing. Fluminense is the rich team. Flamengo is more popular team. So Botafogo is a very niche. It's the fourth popular the in the fourth place in terms of popularity in Rio.
Hmm. That's extremely interesting. And just to watch in a city having the dynamics like that, to have multiple teams as how the fans break down. U.S. Panama going to extra or going to penalties. So for the second straight game, the U.S. will have to win a penalty shootout. So
Just want to give a quick shout out to my friend Gustavo Belofardi. He's my partner in Club Radio. I send the link if you to watch.
absolutely, absolutely. But hey, how about the Rio Bronco Tigers getting a big
Oh,
comeback weekend?
Tigers win 2-0. They won on the road versus Fernandopolis, the Hawk. The Tiger beat the Hawk.
Yeah, and clearly to me, that was definitely the first time I thought Rio Bronco just outclassed the opponent.
Yeah, that's true. It was very outclassed. Like great definition. The only time I was a little bit worried was when the referee conceded a penalty, which I get what he called it. I wouldn't, but he did. And but thank God for Joao Lazari, the best
Amazing.
keeper Rio Bronco had in probably 10 years by far. He's doing really well. I love because he posted on Instagram the play with my call with my call. So that gives me even more maybe bias to say that he's good. But Rio Branco plays again Fernandopolis on Saturday at home. We are projecting that if Rio Branco wins one game and tie another, which is going to be at home on Wednesday, Rio Branco, I think, is going to get to the next round.
Yeah, it seems like to me y'all have a great chance of doing that. I don't see any reason why Rio Bronco can't.
I mean, I'm happy already for going to the third round and not be relegated, and I'm happy enough. Like anything Rio Branco does in the third round, it's like Rio Branco can lose all the games. I'm happy. They're saved. They're not going to the fifth division.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to think about how close they really were, down 1-0 at KRS.
Yeah, oh my god. Just to think that I still catch myself thinking, like, that halftime was the most excruciating halftime of my life. Like, I was there broadcast the game, and to think that Rio Branco was gonna get relegated, but they didn't.
Yeah, they really saved their season in front of 10 people
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
stadium.
yeah, 50 people to be more accurate. I wonder, like, let me find out the exact number because probably I can find it the exact number of fans on that game.
I
Let
say
me
because it didn't look like that much watching it on YouTube.
let me see. Here I found it. 1 second. Total of 66 fans. To be more
Wow,
accurate, six.
66 fans.
Yeah, and out of those 66 fans, 21 were visitor fans.
Wow,
So
so
like,
they
what
really just do not care in Kairos.
they don't care. It was 45 home fans.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
And out of those were probably like family members of the players and or people that are, I guess, friends with the players, but they Cayeta City don't care about Colorado Coyotes. I, I mean, they're just a new team, and I guess that they're not used to playing professional soccer, but it was definitely a very historical moment. Hopefully, Rio Bronco gets the win on Saturday, so you'll be even more close uh, to get to the next round and avoid relegation because that's the first goal that Rio Branco has to achieve, not be relegated.
Yeah, and speaking of Speaking of avoiding relegation, avoiding ending, the U.S. about to enter into their penalty shootout with Panama. And it's just kind of perfect how the timing has worked here towards the end of our show here. This is not the first time we've ended on a penalty shootout, because what was it? It was it was Flamingo and somebody else. I think we did.
Oh, the Copa Sul-Americana final.
Yeah, yeah.
Vitor Pereira lost.
Oh yeah. So here we go again. It's I guess you'll be listening to me call this.
Yeah.
Here in San Diego, it's 1-1.
Quick update, Japan won the third set, so now we are in the fourth set, and US is up by 4, 15-9. They're up by 6, actually.
All right, so the United States will be kicking first, which is always not the position you want to be in, but it's the position they have to be in. Panama won that coin toss. So first, Jesus Fiera versus Masalera for the Panamanians. The winner of this match will take on the winner of Jamaica and Mexico tonight in the Gold Cup final in Los Angeles on Sunday. So the organizers would love to have U.S. and Mexico in L.A. Because in all purposes, that probably would be a road game for the U.S. inside of American borders. Baviera, he steps up, surveys. The ref blows his whistle. He approaches, and it's saved by the Panamanian goalkeeper.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. That's not the start you want, but we'll see if Matt Turner can replicate his performance on Sunday night, where he had, I believe it was 2 saves, and then Canada hit it over the crossbar in their final shot. So Panamanian fans are feeling it, and Matt Turner is going to have to be a hero once again, as we now head to the bottom of the first frame. I'm very curious what the commentators are saying here, because probably Alexi Laws is probably crying up a creek about this performance. He's very much America is always underachieving mentality, which to an extent I kind of agree with. But all right, Panama steps up and they get it right down the neck. So it's 1-0 Panama. United States starts off in a hole. And just right down Main Street, Matt Turner dove off to his right. He almost got it with his left hand. Just did not work. All right, if the U.S. doesn't score here, they're in a world of hurt here in the penalty shootout. It is 1-0 Panama here, heading into the top of the second frame. I don't know what is that what you officially call the second frame in a penalty shootout? I don't know if there's like an official term, or but it's just the second.
The second kick.
Right, 1-0 heading into the second kick. U.S. must tie it. Number 14, he gets it. So it is 1-1 now, as U.S. has tied it up. Let's see if they can find a way to get a stop and to get into the third kick. But heading into the bottom second kick, it is 1-1 in a 1-1 game. Penalty shows are always the craziest thing to watch.
I know. I'm watching the Grêmio Bahia one, and it was. You love it to watch when it's not your team, but when it's your team, it's excruciating.
Yeah, at least this is just the Gold Cup and not the World Cup. But if this were World Cup, it would be very, very just like on pins and needles.
I know.
Yeah, Panama, though. Let's see if Matt Turner can get a save. Diaz, number 11 for Panama, up to kick. Steps out to his left, and he gets it, and he nails it to the left. So it's 2-1 Panama. here for two kicks. U.S. once again needs to
And
find a way
now
to tie.
Flamengo scored. Flamengo scored, and now it's gonna count. Gabi goal. He deserves a goal tonight, and he's of course gonna provoke the Atlético Paranaense fans that throw all sorts of things in Gabi goals. In Gabi goal, so Flamengo is gonna go to the semifinals of Brazilian Cup. Now is 100% confirmed. The fan is almost invading the pitch, like with middle fingers and throwing cups and
Oh my
things.
God.
Gabigol's a provocative player. So Flamengo 2-0, Flamengo Grêmio one semifinal of Brazilian Cup confirmed.
That is insane. And America has tied it 2-2 on the top of the third kick. So once again, U.S. needs to find a way to get a stop. But I mean, down there at that Atletico Paranaense, I mean, those guys sound all kinds of mad.
Yeah, Gabigol is a provocative player. I'll tell you this. Like he wanted to provoke. Like when he scored, he went straight to the fans of Atlético Paranaense, like with dance and showing like the muscle. And I just say he deserved to score after having his goal nullified. That I still can't believe it was nullified, but Flamengo is in the Brazilian Cup semifinal. Now they're still reviewing it and confirmed. The goals confirmed. Gabi goes like really celebrating that.
I mean, what would have happened if they had missed it again? Oh, let's go! Matt Turner gets a save. Bottom of the third kick. It's 2-2. I think top of the fourth. And honestly, it wasn't even that like big, impressive of a save. It was just a line drive, and Matt Turner guessed right. But huge play there by Turner. As we have a tied shootout heading into the top of the fourth kick. The drama. Yeah. These fans are getting their money's worth tonight.
I mean, I get the feeling. I mean, I was in Atlanta when there was the 2015 semifinals, and I know how can be like very like incredible feeling.
Yeah, and the U.S. has taken the lead in penalties, 3-2, as they hit at the top of the fourth. And now Matt Turner, if they can find a way to get a stop here, the U.S. could win on the very next kick. All the pressure all of a sudden has shifted to Panama. In two kicks, it went from Panama in control to the United States now in control.
That's what I call. That's why I love penalty shootouts. It can change real fast.
Yeah, so we'll see if Panama can respond. The American crowd is on their feet, making noise, cheering on Turner. And the Panamanian tries to tie. And he gets it in. So it's 3-3 heading into the fifth kicks. So the U.S. needs to hit and then stop Panama, or vice versa. And if both have the same result, then we'll continue into sudden death.
Yep.
So basically, we are all now in sudden death. We'll keep going until someone hits and someone misses. And you don't want to be the one that misses. So, all right, top of the fifth kick here. United States needs to find a way to get this one in the back of the net. And we do. So now the U.S. can win it with a stop. 4-3 in the penalties. Can Matt Turner get one stop to send the United States to the Gold Cup finals?
Flamengo is dominating here. Oh, almost third goal, but they did it. But what a performance by Flamengo tonight. What a performance by Flamengo. Really dominating performance.
Even despite getting screwed by the refs.
Even despite getting screwed by the refs, dominating performance on the road. That's the Flamengo that fans wanted to see.
Absolutely. And then, and hey, that maybe they can propel that into getting back into the Brazilian Cup race if Botafogo ever cools off.
Yeah, that's what the fans hope.
So Panama plant getting ready here for the fifth. The Panamanian is standing back really far from the ball, really looking at it. He's going to run up to it. He got it. So 4-4, we're in extras. Extras of extras. The game that will not end. Who is going to make a mistake?
Down in Texas, US 24, Japan 18. So US really close to getting to the semifinals. Let's see, ball in the air, hit back, put on top. US hit it. The ball is still in the air. Japan hit it. And now US hits, and the ball's still in the air. Let's see, Japan come back. The ball. Now US gonna attack and down. US win 3-1 to go to the semifinals of women's volleyball Nations League.
And unfortunately, the U.S. has missed the top of the sixth.
Oh,
Panama can win it here. But congratulations to volleyball for winning their quarterfinal match to advance to the semis. But Panama on the verge of going to the finals. And if Panama ends up kicking them through here, this is definitely frankly, I feel anytime to me that we don't make it to the finals in the Gold Cup, it's a failure. 3 years before the World Cup, that it's not the place I want to see the team being.
Let's see if Matt Turner saves and they're still alive.
Yeah, see if they save the day. Panama to win. Yes, Panama to the finals. And the U.S., for the second time in, 8 years, gets knocked out in the semis of the Gold Cup. So huge win for Panama. Gut check loss for the United States. And really, honestly, Panama deserved to win that game. They had more chances. They dominated possession. And, if you're the U.S., that's not going to cut it in a couple of years. And granted, I know some of the best players weren't playing, but still, that doesn't give me confidence for their future endeavors. And, considering that you have Greg Berhalter, so my request to the U.S. Soccer Federation, please get a real coach. Please, please, please get a real coach, because if you want to be a serious soccer country, you can't have results like this.
Yeah, now another. I mean, I remember when Jurgen Klinsmann lost to Jamaica in the Gold Cup semifinals, and that was one the biggest knocks that it ended up. By the end he got fired. So I wonder how this elimination is going to affect Berhalter's future for as a U.S. men's national team head coach. But after so much updates, so many live sports. Now everything wrapped up.
What a show, for sure, to react as Panama takes out the United States. But still, incredible show, as always, from Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Gustavo Tomazeli, and from Chattanooga, Tennessee, the United States. It's Nicholas Hill. This is the only podcast talking about American and Brazilian sports. 2 countries, 2 Americas, all sports. This has been episode 85. You'll have a good one.